Oh my god. If this doesn't grind your gears, nothing will.
Tell me, yeah, I'm not the only one who spends a fucking fortune on shopping. Last month, we spent £800 on food.
We are a family of 5 and I just spent £284 in Aldi for about a week and a half's shop.
This lady will report it's our busiest night of the week.
Hello, Nelly. What's your charging tonight, then?
6 halfpenny for acts of appalling depravity, 1 and 6 to faddle daddle with me whatchamacallit, and 2 shillings to waddle up me whips a days.
What do I get for tuppence?
Mum!
I've just done what I would call an essential top-up shop, right? Just bits and bats that I need. I didn't really need any major meats or recipes or ingredients. It's cost me a small fortune. I know the cost of living crisis has been affecting all of us for a really long time, but this is, I would say, noticeably next level. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. Tell you how much all of this costs at the end and I'll show you what I bought. Essential porridge oats, bananas, salad leaves, broccoli, avocados. Yes, I know avocados are expensive, but I like them and they're good for you. And these aren't the ripened ones. You just need to sit and wait for them. So they will take probably a month. Eggs, 15 of them. 2 milks. Before you have a go, I am allergic to normal milk, so I have oat milk. Normally get the cheaper oat milk, the one that's purple if you're an oat milk kind of gal. I think it's normally about 85p, but for some reason my Aldi doesn't stock them anymore, so I don't know if they're just not supplying it or it's a stock issue with my particular store, but it means I had to get these ones, and these are £1.25 each. Sourdough bread, I have this with my eggs, have this for lunch pretty much every single day of my life. And I get 2 because I freeze 1. Just some light little snacks, pop crisps, these are really nice, but I think I'll be buying them again now I've seen the price. Just 2 protein yogurts, dark chocolate for my sweet tooth. Yes, I could buy cheaper chocolate, I know that. Frozen fruit, I put this in my porridge and have this for breakfast every day. And with my breakfast, I normally, to jazz up the porridge because I have it with water, normally put like a chocolate spread, or actually been using biscuit spread, but again.
Welcome to Blighty Blighted, your daily reminder that, like you saw from the thumbnail, prices in Britain aren't just going up, they're climbing. Climbing, climbing, still climbing, like a great big python wrapping itself around your bank account. Every week it squeezes a little tighter. Food, petrol, electricity, insurance, council tax, the weekly shop. This inflation snake doesn't bite you. It slowly squeezes every last pound out of your wallet. You know what's funny? The supermarkets tell us they're offering fantastic savings. Savings? I leave feeling like I've just sponsored the entire building. Then you spot one of those giant yellow discount stickers. You think, ooh, that's worth a look. And there it is. What a lovely pair of melons. Now calm yourselves. I meant the fruit. Though I must admit that phrase meant something rather different when I was a young man in the 1960s. Back then, British humour was full of cheeky little innuendos, carry-on films, seaside postcards. You could raise an eyebrow without causing a national incident.
How much would people say is acceptable for food shopping for 2 people? How much do you spend on food shopping for 2 people? To last you around about a month. So we go food shopping monthly, just once a month, because I do a huge shop and that has to last us for the whole month. We probably get bread and milk as top-up shops in between, but that's it. And I keep seeing videos of people saying, oh, my food shopping's like £200, £300 a week, and it really stresses me out. But how much do people actually think is acceptable for a food shop for 2 people, 2 adults, to last 1 month? I need to go food shopping tomorrow, so I'm a little bit nervous about how much things are costing now. Everything is just going up and up and up, and this is the first time in April that we would have done a food shop. So I know things have just, like, as soon as 1st of April came, that was it, everything went through the roof again. So yeah, how much are you spending and how much do you think is acceptable for a family of 2 for a month?
honestly, how are people doing it? Like, everything's going up, food shop, bills. We're in the summer holidays now, and they are costing an absolute fortune. Like, honestly, that's why I'm so glad that I started this 14 weeks ago, because it's eased that a little. And it's been the best decision that I've made this year, to be honest. So if you are feeling the pressure, then you're definitely not alone. We've got loads of NHS staff in this, which is absolutely ridiculous that they have to look for an extra income, but that's life now, isn't it? So if you are looking to ease the pressure of bills and everything else that comes along with it, then send me a wee message and I will get back to you.
We had a completed payment on the house and only had to put down £25 a week, £25 down on the house, and pay £2.13 and 5 a month repayments to the Building Society.
Was it pretty tough to begin with when you
Well, it was at the start, because I came out here with 2 small children.
Feed 6 people on just over £4?
Yes, well, we have plain food. We don't have, of course, we don't go for luxuries, but I must say we do have our meat allowance, as my husband is a butcher, and I find some weeks I spend, say, £2.10. That's usually my limit for groceries alone, and about £1 for green groceries, and about 15 shillings for milk. And sometimes there's little extras, like anything from the chemist, like toothpaste.
Elliot has a job as well, and with her husband's income, that makes it up to £30 a week that they get. They've got 3 girls who are all at grammar school. And Mrs. Elliot submitted a very complete list of expenditure here, which doesn't seem to show very much over. And there are no very large items. The biggest, I think, is £7.10 for food. What would happen, do you think, if you weren't able to go on working? Would it make an enormous difference?
It would, very drastically.
What do you think you'd have to do?
Well, we'd have to cut down very drastically.
Would you be able to live here, do you think?
Well, we might be able to, but we should have to give up a lot of the things we do now. Probably no holidays.
Give and take some few little bits for Christmas, but £800 on food. Okay, my husband is a bodybuilder. Maybe that's what he needs to quit, but that's like a wage. If you spend that much money, please let me know, or please let me know in the comments how much you spend on food, just so I can compare to see if I am doing something wrong. Because I can't cope. I don't want to do it anymore. I need to save some pennies. Maybe shopping or not buying as much is the way I'm going to do that. So yeah, please give me a heads up down in the comments what you spend on shopping, and if you think how much I'm spending is absolutely ridiculous as well.
Look at these energy prices across 10 other countries compared to what we pay over here. These are the average energy prices. Look at them. Poland comes in the lowest at €174. Finland, €476. And then you have Norway, Austria, Holland, Denmark and Germany, all in the €540 to €560 price range. Spain's average is €620. And Belgium and France coming in, and let's be honest, a respectable €650 each. But look at our average here in the UK at the top. £2,585. £2,585. That's our average energy cost in the UK. How does this individual sleep at night? Do you know, if we sank every offshore wind farm to the bottom of the sea, our energy costs would instantly drop overnight to the same levels as all those countries up there. Because when it's too windy, this individual authorises payment to the wind farm owners to replenish their lost revenue when they have to turn them off because it's too windy. When it's too windy, they turn them off. The whole purpose of those wind farms being there is to use the wind. Really? Seriously? What the fuck? £2,585 average cost for our energy. Seriously.
What the actual F? That's ridiculous. That's the most expensive I think I've ever had my shopping. I have been healthy eating, and now I know why everyone's fat. Because healthy eating is not for the poor. Because £284 normally, my shopping in Aldi, if I did around the same amount of dinners, so I think I've got about 10 dinners, would probably be somewhere between 180 and 200. 284.76 my shopping was. I actually am flabbergasted. I'm in complete shock. And we're going to be eating well for the next 10 days, but it might be beans on toast after that, guys.
Dear Wessex Water, thank you very kindly for your recent bill that I have received informing me that my water supply is going to increase from about £20 a month to £106. However, due to the recent outbreak of cryptosporidium in the Devon area, and hearing that many people have been getting very ill from this, I am very concerned that my water supply may also get contaminated in the future. Therefore, I require your 100% guarantee that there will not be any outbreak of cryptosporidium which is likely to poison me or my family. I am not refusing to pay you. However, I cannot pay you for unsafe water. This violates the contract on your behalf. Once I receive your 100% guarantee that this cannot happen, I will release the money to you from a trust which I will hold the money in. I will be cancelling my direct debit until I receive your response and your 100% guarantee. Kind regards.
So guys, everyone's moaning about the cost of living, the cost increases throughout the range of everything that we know in the UK. Every month something's been going up, increasing costs, your subscriptions, your banking, whatever. Everything's going up and we've had enough. But yet no one's doing anything about it. So I'm going to break this down really quickly because people get bored very quick on here. So just hear me out, please, because it's important for us to make a change. Right, it's going to cost the UK economy around £2.5 billion to have an extra bank holiday. Apparently that's what it costs per bank holiday, around 19 billion a year in bank holidays. Anyway, guess what, guys? Hashtag boycott day UK. 1 day per month where we don't spend any money. Go to work, do the necessities, do the things you have to do, but don't go buy food, don't pay for petrol, don't buy the coffees, don't buy your lunch, make lunch at home. Stop spending for 1 day per month. Watch how quickly we help to reset this disgusting greed which is going on in the UK, because there's no cost of living crisis, it's now greed, guys. Okay? It is greed, plain and simple. If you're going to moan about it, do something about it. If you're not going to do anything about it, I don't want to hear about it. Okay, because we have the power. We should bring the control back to us, the people whose hard-earned money is being spent and being taken the pee out of. Because I just took my daughter out. It was £5 for a glass of Coke. £5 for a glass of Coke in Prezzo's. I can't do it anymore. So I've gone through all my subscriptions. I've changed things. I've cancelled things. I'm not even doing a summer holiday because of the cost. Because it's ridiculous. 50% its profit. I'm not doing it. So there you go, guys. You want to make a change? Hashtag boycott day UK. Make a change 1 day a month. I don't know how we get this trending, but let's get this going. Let's see how we can make this work, because we can bring the power back to us. Watch a movie called Viva Vendetta, then you'll understand. Enjoy your weekend and stop spending.
I'm just going to have a little rant for a minute about living as a chronically ill person when it comes to grocery shopping and the whole cost of greed crisis that we have going in this country at the moment. I budget 30 quid a week for my grocery shop. I can't, and I try not to go over that because I literally can't afford to, but it is becoming increasingly more difficult because of the dietary requirements that I have to help stop the flare-ups of my various health conditions. So I can't have gluten anymore, I can't have dairy anymore, I can't have soya anymore, I now can't have fucking tomato which is a crime against fucking humanity. And there's some other things that I could have because my body does tolerate them, but it's really 50-50 as to whether they will flare up my my health conditions. So it's becoming more and more difficult to stick to that 30 quid budget, because anyone else who is like, especially like gluten-free, but anyone who has quite specific dietary requirements knows how difficult it's getting to stick to a budget to feed yourself. Like, I can't just go and buy, you know, the cheapest loaf of bread for 60, 70p because I can't, it's got gluten in it. But every week I add a treat for myself to my grocery shop. It's the only treat that I have for myself every week, and it is a £1.50 bag of crisps. I call them my fancy crisps, even though they're not even particularly fucking fancy. They're just salt and vinegar crisps. And I will dip into this over the course of like 3 or 4 days as my little weekly treat. I feel guilty for spending £1.50 each week on a bag of fancy crisps. How ridiculous is that? How ridiculous is it that because I have to be so careful with my budget, I feel guilty about, and it'll get to the point where they'll put this up to like £1.60, £1.75. These will be £2 probably by Christmas, and I won't be buying them then. So then I won't have any treats, and there'll be people in the comments going, well, you know, if you're that hard up for money, you shouldn't be treating yourself at all. Why not? I don't fucking treat myself to anything else. I don't go out because I can't afford to. I'm physically unable to go out and socialise because it's too painful and too exhausting for me. So I don't. I'd love to go to the cinema. I physically can't. I don't buy myself a fancy 4 or 5 quid coffee from a coffee shop because I can't afford it. And also I physically can't get there because it will exhaust me. So I add a £1.50 bag of crisps to my shopping each week, and I feel guilty about it. How fucked up is that?
to 10 times your income to afford a home. And yes, I know, it was never that easy because of various interests, payments that had to be made. But today, no, the incentive is gone. And that causes major problems for the UK economy, doesn't it?
I'm going to tell you how the Labour government is going to collapse and leave the country in such a terrible position. I don't think any of the politicians are capable of getting us out of it. So what happens is, when we're near that rate of collapse, something called the International Monetary Fund come in. They start putting austerity into the country. It happened to Greece recently. I don't know if you can remember that. It hasn't happened to us since 1976, another Labour government. When the IMF came in, the first thing they did was stop wages, stop building, stop infrastructure, huge spending cuts, and all the fiscal policies of giving money away to everybody were just ended. I can remember that. I was 13. I can remember my dad mumbling away on that one. But let me tell you how we're going to get into this situation. And yet it's really, really bad. It's really bad. Don't be fooled by we've grown 0.6% in the last 3 months or something. That counts for nothing. We borrow 10% more than we earn. Let me just put that into something you can see. So in March, we borrowed 12 billion. Right? In 1976, adjusted for figures now, we had to borrow 4 billion to keep the lights on. So things have really ramped up here, really ramped up. So we're borrowing about 10 to 12 billion every single month because we don't earn enough for our spending. We spend more than we earn. You can understand that. You've got your money coming in, but you're spending more and you're racking it up on your credit card. You're paying interest and the interest keeps going up and up. That interest is about 5% and it's related to something called the bond markets. We don't go down the Abbey National, just sort of borrow the money that way. we write notes for the bond market. The bond market underwrites lending the UK money, 10 to 12 billion every single month. We're paying about 5%, although that's going to be going up because our risk is higher. We pay more than just about any other country in the developed world. We pay more because the bond markets are independent and they understand that we're being run by imbeciles. Now, unfortunately, we haven't got any better imbeciles to run the business. We need to collapse. We need to collapse. Then we need the IMF to come in to say, look, we can't afford this, we can't afford that, stop doing this, stop doing it. In other words, the adults need to come in. Have a look at this. Whoever comes in from Labour, right, they are further left, more spendy, more taxy, more spendy. And when you've got, that's a Labour MP, oh God. The bond markets will have to fall into line with Andy Burnham's agenda. They're just going to go like that and they're going to put it right up and Andy Burnham's going to go, I didn't think they'd do that. But we have to keep our I can't think of anything. We have to keep spending on everybody. We've got to tax more and everything. The whole thing will just collapse. That's the attitude of Labour MPs, that we have to spend more, we have to tax more, and we have to borrow more. That is a Labour MP's mantra. They do it every time they get into office. And what happens is the bond markets, they can't refuse to lend the country money, or they don't, because it's good business. They know the UK isn't going to go bust. They can just get paid by giving them the Isle of Man or something like that. But basically, they just put up the interest rates, they make it more difficult and everything, and then we end up paying so much in interest. And I should have shown you that before. We're bringing in 75 to 95 billion a month in tax, which is absolutely huge. It's one of the highest we've had in my memory. We're still spending 10% more. So we're spending about 110 billion and we're bringing in about 100 billion, whatever. And that's what we're getting taxed on. And that's why we're going to collapse regardless of whoever gets it from Labour. You might want to ask ChatGPT about what did Gordon Brown do with our gold? Sold half of our entire gold stock we'd amassed over hundreds and hundreds of years when the market was at its lowest. That's what we're dealing with. Anyway, get yourself ready for the collapse of the UK economy, finances and everything. We've never got to a stage where they haven't managed to pay the council workers, the civil servants and everything. We've never got to that stage. We've always had a bailout before, but the biggest bailout we've had was 3.9 billion adjusted for today's rate. And right now, on a normal month, we're borrowing 10 billion. How much are we going to need as a bailout? I don't think the IMF could afford it. Get ready for it. Paddle your own canoe. Get your side hustle going.
We got some major problems ahead. The British economy is about to fall off a cliff and I'm seriously worried about it. What about you? I can see in the next couple of months the hospitality industry coming to a grinding halt. Development and construction literally stopping dead. I can see prices going up in the shops and farmers and small businesses on the brinks of collapse. I was chatting to a farmer yesterday and he told me he worked out as an arable farmer. He worked all year last year and basically made no profit. He said it's unsustainable. I can't carry on doing that. And he said this coming year, they're predicting to have to spend even more on fertilizers, pesticides and all that sort of stuff just to get the crops ready. Up to 50 to 60% of their gross income in preparation of the soil and growing the crops, which is way more than it's ever been. So farmers, guys, do not think just because they're sat on a load of land, they got a load of money. Some of them are wealthy, but a lot of the farmers out there are working a bloody hard week and getting no money at the end of it. They're just sustaining their lifestyle. Development. If the government comes out and puts taxes on property, private homes as one, and national insurance on landlords, if they don't do something on stamp duty and they keep the environmental legislation that's in place right now, the housing market is going to come to a grinding halt. There's no second homers. You might go, that's great. There's no buy-to-let landlords. Maybe that's great, but you'll have some institutional landlord like BlackRock owning all your properties. Why else would they be at number 10 as soon as Keir Starmer got into power? So already the housing market is not seeing homes sell, and you're going to find the big boys, the Persimmons, the Barretts, the Taylor Wimpeys, all those guys, they're going to start doing deals on new homes soon because they can't sell them. And if they can't sell them, they're just going to have to rent them. And that will stop them investing in new development sites because, of course, why would you develop thousands of homes that you can't sell? So that's going to come to a grinding halt. We're seeing it now. I'm in the sector and we're seeing the beginnings of a very, very difficult market. Hospitality. If people haven't got any money and food prices are going up, they're going to start to struggle. Already you're seeing massive layoffs in the hospitality industry. We're seeing unemployment levels go up. It's not going to look pretty. But of course, Labour tells us they're on track to fix everything. Nationwide, borrowing up. Highest level of national borrowing that has been in 27 years. That means the debt that we hold is costing us more. That means it's costing the country more, which means the back hole gets bigger. Wherever direction you look right now, it's bad. British Steel, finished. The government's having to bail it out. We're having to pay them to stay alive. We're having to pay taxes to America for the privilege of sending stuff to them. That was a great deal. Well done. Mental, right? And we're importing coal from China and from India and places like that. So we're going green, but we're importing coal, we're importing oil from all around the world to sustain these steel factories and our energy systems. So we're going green and we're importing it all over. What's our carbon footprint going to look like, guys? Apparently, we're going green by 2030. That's not good. Wherever you look, everywhere you look, walk in the shops, pick up a packet of Maltesers, pick up a packet of Haribos, pick up a pint of milk. What's to happen to the price? I went in the shop the other day, minstrels used to buy them for $1.25, $2.75 a pack. That's doubled. That's just one product. I went down the shelves. I was like, bloody hell, those cookies used to cost £1 for 5. Now it's £1.75 for 4. The price of food is going through the roof, and the government says they're on top of it. Things are looking ugly. Wherever you look, in every direction you look, the European economies are slowing down. You've got China, Russia, North Korea and India forming a new power group. They're changing. Everything's shifting, guys. The taxes the government's going to put on you come the autumn statement. If they don't make some serious changes, our economy in the UK will come to a grinding halt. We'll be so busy paying people who don't earn. I saw a statistic the other day. 80% of illegal migrants who come to this country don't ever work. They're always maintained by the state. So we come in, we grant them asylum, and then they just live on the state. That's mental. If you give them asylum, you've got 12 months to find a job. Go out and work. I don't care. Doesn't matter. You might not like it. Well, this is a terrible thing to say, Steve. Guys, you can't sustain it. You can't keep paying tax. Millionaires are fleeing the country in their droves. In their droves. The high net worths, the 20 to 200 million pound clients, the billionaires, they're leaving. They're not investing here in the UK. The taxes are too bad. Small businesses, limited companies, family-owned farms who used to be able to pass on their companies to their estate. You know, granddad owned it 100 years ago, dad owned it, then now the kids own it and they want to pass it on to their children. Now they have to pay tax on the value of that business when the proprietor dies. That business may not have 20, 30, 40 million in cash. What's going to happen to it? They're going to have to sell it or wind it up. So you're going to see more unemployment coming through. And Keir Starmer says everything's fine. Don't worry. We've got a plan and we're working on the plan. And we've got a situation that was left to us by the last government. Guys, we need to wake up. We cannot just spend the royal... You can't sell all of your valuables. We can't sell everything we've got as a country to pay bills and formulate growth because we're taking money out of our deposit account and putting it into our current account to say we're growing. That's not growth. That's funding your own business. You will go bankrupt. And I think Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves and Wes Sweeting and all these guys, they want us to go bankrupt. They want us to run to the IMF for a bailout. Because if you look up on the internet, what are the terms and conditions of an IMF bailout, you will see they give a whole list of things. You can't retire until you're this age. You can't have this much money. You have to do this. You're not allowed to do that. These are the benefits you can have. This is the interest you have to pay. They give you a whole load of rules. You will not be a master of your ship anymore. You will be a slave rowing below the decks of the IMF at the steering wheel. Wake up, guys. 35 to 40 billion is the cost of the Chagos Islands deal. Billions to Ukraine to support a war. Billions a year housing illegal migrants. Billions a year on pay rises that the following year aren't enough. We want more. We haven't had enough. Train strikes, nurses strike, doctors strike. You're going to see strikes everywhere. And
Nowadays, I'd better make it absolutely clear. I'm talking about the fruit. Mind you, at today's prices, even the melons need to be on discount. It's all on display anyway, isn't it, these days? If you know what I mean. Where was I? Oh, yes. The worrying thing is we've almost become numb to it. Every week another price increase, another small adjustment, another excuse. Energy, food, rent. It's always climbing, always. Climbing, climbing, and still blooming climbing. The snake never seems to loosen its grip. It just squeezes a little tighter every month. Until ordinary families are asking themselves whether they can afford things that used to be completely ordinary. That's no way to run a country. Brits are remarkably resilient. We'll laugh through almost anything. We'll joke while standing in a queue. We'll even make fun of our own empty wallets. But underneath the humour is a serious question. How much higher can prices climb before ordinary people simply can't keep up? The inflation snake keeps climbing, but one day it'll discover there's nothing left to squeeze. Cheerio. And remember, if those melons are finally on offer, grab them quickly, because by tomorrow they'll probably have climbed back up the shelf again.